If there's a God, he's laughing at us and our football show. So I will give a shout out to the listener that can name the band and the song. Stu's going to launch us. It's electric football, people.
Hi. I don't even know what that was. That's Steve Brown.
That's Stu Pace.
And here we go. This is our Week 13 sloshing through the games as we always do. Tonight is Monday, so we don't know the result of the Monday night game between the Eagles and the
Panthers. But how much do you care?
Yeah. The Panthers won. Whee! Okay. But we are going to talk about the Saints-Falcons because that's the Thursday night game this week. It's the battle for not a lot because the Falcons are way ahead. It's an interesting matchup. The Falcons barely beat Tampa Bay, and the Saints D doesn't look like they can stop anyone. So I'm going to go with the Falcons because I'm tired of picking against them and losing.
I don't know when I shut up and just accept the Falcons as a good team. I keep expecting them to lose. They're the most unimpressive 10-1 team I've ever seen. Sorry, G-Simp. I know you love them, baby, but I have to accept them now as a dangerous team. So I guess the day that I get on their bandwagon is Thursday, November 29th. Give me the birds to outfly the de-haloed Saints.
Yeah, they'll probably lose, but we're both picking Atlanta. The next game is Seattle and the Bears. Miami showed what happens when Marshawn Lynch cannot run. Wilson is ordinary without a running game, and Cutler finally looks like he's in contention for a possible run to a Super Bowl. And I'm getting on the Bear bandwagon, man. The Seattle looks like they're likely to miss the playoffs this year, looking ahead at their schedule. So I'm taking the Bears.
Okay. Well, the Bears have to be one of the happier teams in the NFL. They knocked off the Vikings, who were nipping at their heels, and the Packers fell apart against the Giants.
Yeah,
so the Bears are in perfect position. The problem for the Bears right now is their offensive line, coached by Mr. Pumpkinhead himself, Mike Tice, is horrible. So their main key right now is to keep Cutler upright and keep a game in front of the Packers. That's all they have to, because they don't want to be Campbelled again.
Ouch.
No, they really don't. I mean, they're terrible with Campbell.
They're done with Campbell.
So I expect them to have a somewhat cautious offense. I expect them to do a lot more running than setting Cutler back there and hoping that the offensive linemen don't turn into swinging gates as they have been. Seattle's got some fierce, fast pass rushers. I'm still going to take the Bears, but I'll put a little caveat on there that if they do get to Cutler, Seattle can win this game.
But Seattle lost two of their defenders to some kind of doping scheme today. They're suspended, so that could hurt them as well.
Two of their quarterbacks.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. We're going to move ahead to the Texans and the Titans, and I'll let you start.
Okay. The battle of the T-teams, and the Texans got one of the biggest gifts I've ever seen. I don't understand the red flag. You know, everyone's been talking about this, so you know what we're talking about. I don't understand why the refs don't just toss back to them and go, hey, we're already reviewing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, you threw the flag, so we're going to get this play wrong? Nanny, nanny, boo-boo? I got to tell you, I'm already getting sick of replay. I'm serious. You got Ed Hockley out there going, I didn't replay this, but I do have big guns. By the way, sorry about the Dolphins jersey.
No, he converted.
My wife forgot to drop my jersey off. I love you, honey.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, you spend all this time watching a guy under a hood. You know after one replay what happened. But I go back to the 70s. We didn't have replay. We didn't have guys. The only guys throwing flags were refs. We didn't have talk about, oh, we better save the timeout. If they got to play wrong, you got pissed, you got drunk, and then you moved on. And the game moved along better. It was more fun. That was horrible. Ruined both our upset picks for the week.
Stupid refs.
So, yeah, that was bad. Now, moving to this game, Battle of the T-teams, come on. The Titans have shown very little, including losing last week to the Jaguars. You know, the Texans have been sneaking by the cat teams. They got by the Jaguars. They got by the Lions on a horrible... Oh, but I do like that feisty Lions coach.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz. He's ready to punch somebody.
He was getting into that. Him and Harbaugh with the handshake. I'll take you down.
But that call was ridiculous. You know, like you said, they should have handed the flag back. But the problem is every score is reviewable. So why didn't they just review it? You know, this all of a sudden someone knew the rule book. I've seen overtime games where the players and the coaches are letting the clock tick because they think that's the end of the quarter. not everybody knows every rule, and that one was the most ridiculous one I've ever seen.
Right up there with the tuck rule. It was horrible. One last little caveat. They are talking about changing it in the middle of the season. I hope they don't. I know that sounds contradictory.
It's not fair to the...
But, yeah, what happens if a coach makes that same mistake and they don't get penalized and they win a game?
Right.
So, even if it's a dumb rule, everyone's aware of it right now. Run out the rest of the season and then just wipe it the heck out.
Right. Finish the season because everyone else now knows it, and that's an unfair advantage in, well... I hate the referees this year. They're terrible.
It could turn out to be ugly.
I think they missed the preseason tune-up because the calls that I've been seeing this year, I think the replacement refs were doing a better job, quite honestly. All right. It's called exaggeration.
Okay.
Anyway, Texans win.
So then we're going to move to the Pats at the Dolphins?
Yes, because Steve's converted.
I have not.
You have too.
I was just lacking my Viking jersey. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Bill Belichick suffered a busted gut laughing at the Jets last week.
Yeah.
The Sanchez direct run into Brandon Moore's ass was, excuse me, can I say that? I guess I can.
It's YouTube.
And then the
ass
bouncing off of that, the man does have back. And then let me throw it up to the other team is going to be on Follies for a long time.
Yeah. It was a great 52 seconds as a Dolphin fan.
Yeah, and Stu had a great week last week as the Dolphins pulled one out, but I don't see that happening this week. The Patriots really looked like they were hitting on all cylinders. I know, I'm sorry. I did like Zach Thomas and his frighteningly square head.
Barney Rubble.
But give me the Patriots. I expect them to go on a late season run.
Yeah, how many yards will Brady have this week? Our secondary, that's all I'm going to say, our secondary. I think this game is closer than we think because for some reason the Dolphins kind of, have it in their have an idea in their head that they can win a game now. But I don't think the Dolphins have a chance. I think it's going to be closer than the last 52-7 blowouts that the Belichicks have been performing. But the Brady's win.
I'll tell you what, though, Stu. If you said at the beginning of the season the Dolphins could come out with a 7-win season, and they have two late games against Buffalo and somebody else who's horrible.
Jaguars.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take it?
I predicted them to have a 5-win season, and we're already there.
Yeah, so you have to be happy with it.
I am. I love Tannehill.
All right. Speaking of happy, here's one for Frost. I don't know if I can show the label,
Sure
but
you
Frost,
can.
there you go.
Why not? There we go. The next game is the Jaguars and the Bills. So Jacksonville's been playing well with Chad Henne, and Henne's playing well, and Buffalo's playing like crap. Take the Bills.
That was my shout out to Frost. We give you an electric football chug because you guys won one.
Yeah.
The most boring drinking game in the world is take a drink every time the Jags win.
Yeah, they do that in Ocean Grove because it's a dry city.
A great way to stay sober.
It's tough to win in Rich Stadium. I would think that Buffalo wins this game.
Okay, here's my take on it. If the Bills weren't stupid, it would just give the ball to C.J. Spiller and just keep giving him the ball.
Yeah.
I don't understand why guys like Spiller and Jamal Charles end games with like 10 and 12 carries. I think Spiller had 14 last week. He's by far the best player on your team. He's the most explosive option you have. Give him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Chad Henne play. I've seen how bad he can be. I'm surprised at how well he's doing with the Jags. And
So is he.
I don't expect it to continue. So give me the Bills.
Okay. Colts Lions, you go.
The Colts now have two cheerleaders that look like Sinead O'Connor, but they did it for a good reason. They shaved their heads after the game to raise money to help in Chuck Pagano's fight. So God bless them. My nephew is out in Michigan, and he's given me the scouting report on the Lions. And Ndamukong Suh did not get suspended, but he's always on the verge. You'll notice there are certain players, James Harrison and Ndamukong Suh, who always are on the radar. But his claim, my nephew's claim, is that it's the defense that's really the problem in Detroit, other than what people are saying. People think it's the offense, the inability to run, the inability to get Calvin Johnson touchdowns. He's saying it's all the secondary. I'm taking his word for it, and I'm going with the Colts, thinking that Luck can take advantage of a supposedly weak secondary.
I don't want to disagree with your nephew because he's a nice kid.
He is a nice kid.
But the offense isn't doing anything either, Harrison. So, I think it's a compilation of everything that's gone wrong with the Lions. I think the expectations were so high this year, and I think they came in thinking this is going to be our year, and they have laid eggs everywhere they've turned. However, it's still Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson. I think Mikel Ashore's a good back. I think they're going to teach Andrew Luck what completions look like in rapid fire because I think Stafford's going to go crazy on the Colts. I'm not sold that the Colts are as good as their record. And against the Lions team that just got bit in the ass by a referee, they're going to come out swinging.
Ooh, a lot of ass.
Yeah.
By the way, that was my nephew Scott, not my nephew Harrison.
Oh, sorry.
But we love you both.
He's brilliant.
So Panthers against
Panthers Chiefs.
Yes.
Chiefs.
And Stu, you want to go? Want to start?
Go ahead. Yeah, okay.
Neither one of us wants to do this.
All right. Woe is me, cries the Midwest native tribe. What does Kansas City have to do to get a win this season? They hand the ball off to Jamal Charles. He goes nowhere. They hand the ball to Brady Quinn, and he does exactly what he expected him to do. He throws for 100 yards a game. Come on. Why is Romeo Crennel still the head coach? I would switch just to see if something changes. I can't ever take them, and I know the Panthers are on the road, but Cam Newton is a hell of a lot better than Brady Quinn, and I am taking the Panthers.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Panthers because I'm basing my pick solely on the ability of Cam Newton to make plays.
Yeah.
Nobody on the Chiefs other than Jamal Charles can make plays. And unless he pushes whatever quarterback they roll out there out of the way and takes a direct snap, they don't seem to want to give him the ball enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ugly game. I don't care what happens in tonight's game. I don't care if the Panthers eat the Eagles' lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever.
Yeah, unless Newton gets hurt.
Unless Newton gets hurt, give us both the Panthers.
Vikings-Packers sounds like a Steve team.
Whew! The Vikes effectively gave away any shot at winning the division. I had low expectations this season. They far exceeded them. And then I started to believe, like Charlie Brown, I'm going to kick that ball. Lucy won't pull it away from me this time. That game pretty much did it to us. It hurts a lot that Percy Harvin wasn't on the field because he's by far our most dynamic playmaker, other than Adrian Peterson, who does every week. Adrian Peterson's giving us all he can possibly give us. I'm happy with the way the season's gone so far. A little disappointed by last week. And I expect the Packers to bounce back from a utter drubbing last night.
Yeah.
They threw in the towel early. Their offensive line is almost as bad as the Bears. But we got like one sack against the Bears, so there's no reason to believe we're going to put a lot of pressure on Rodgers. I'd love to see us knock his porn stash right off.
That's ugly.
That is one.
Yeah.
But I don't expect it to happen. I'd take the Packers.
What is wrong with the Packers? Eli's carved them up in in 13 months. He's just carved up the pack, and I don't understand it. Aaron Rodgers looked lost out there. It looks like they didn't have one play call that was going to gain any yardage whatsoever,
except for that first pass to Nelson.
All right, the first pass, but that was
the first. It.
Yeah. After that, they have no running game. Their passing game was non-existent. Randall Cobb couldn't, he really couldn't get anything going in the kick return game. They were down early, and they stopped early, like you said. Having said that, the Vikings would need Adrian Peterson to run for 300 yards to win this game. The Packers are going to come out kind of like Detroit. They're going to come out seething because that game was not an indication of who they should be, but it's becoming more consistent for the Packers to not win than it is to win.
There you go.
Taking the Pack, though.
So we go on.
The Niners-Rams.
Niners at the Rams. And I got to tell you, I like the Kaepernick move. Alex Smith must have peed in Harbaugh's Wheaties or something. I feel bad for the guy. Number one pick, horrible start. Everyone talking about him being a bust, All of a sudden, is he winning those games or is it the talent around him winning those games? But they're winning for the last two seasons, and now he's pretty much effectively on the bench. Kaepernick looks really dynamic. The ball coming out of his hand looks clean and beautiful. Harbaugh, he knows what he's got there.
He's got total command of the offense.
It's a risky move to put a young guy in late in the season. One bad January game and you're done in this league.
Yeah, but you're talking about Alex Smith, who for 6 seasons sucked, had one good year. No one was sold.
A good year and a half.
All right.
How many games? How many games could the guy win and still get benched? I do feel bad for Alex Smith. He seems like a good guy. He seems like he's getting the most out of himself that he can. But they really have something special in Kaepernick. Is now the time to go to him? That debate's open. But they've got a ferocious defense. Every time I get a chance to watch them, and it's not often, but they curb stomp people. They put their teeth on there and they step on the back of their heads and they finish them off. And that's what I expect them to do this week.
Yeah, Sam Bradford is probably scared crapless to come against this team this week. I mean, they were thrilled to have beaten the Cardinals, but they beat the Cardinals. What is he going to do against this team? Steven Jackson's going to run into what he thinks is the Great Wall of China, because no matter how far over to the side he goes, there's still a wall there. He's not going anywhere. Bradford's going to be hopefully coming out of this game in one piece, and I think the 49ers just romp on this game.
There you go.
Cards-Jets.
Cards-Jets.
Wow.
The Jets suffered a big loss. Fireman Ed retired.
Bye.
Now, a lot of people, a lot of Dolphin fans, for instance, don't particularly like the guy. But his complaint seems pretty legitimate. He's saying, he can't go to a game and not get in confrontations. People are disrespectful. Now, he's drawn a lot
Really?
Yes.
At a Jet game?
He's drawn a lot of attention to himself. But, it does open up an interesting debate whether football fans, you hear about the violence out in Oakland and stuff like that, and you start to wonder, is it safe to take my kid to a football game? And it's a shame. It's a shame that we're at that level. It's a shame that I'd rather sit home in the Barca Lounger and watch the game. The Jets couldn't have looked more inept.
They could have.
They seem really to be pushing Mike Tannenbaum out the door, but ignoring the fact that he's not coaching these players. He got them. Everyone seemed happy with them in the preseason, and all of a sudden the special teams look horrible, but nobody's saying anything about Westhoff. Rex Ryan, you better win a few games. I don't think you're surviving. Even if you run the table, you might survive. But you're going to win this one. The Cardinals' QB situation is the worst in the NFL, and unless the Jets hand them the ball 4 times in 52 seconds and let them score on each turnover, I expect the Jets to eke this one out in an ugly game.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the NFL and you live in the New York area, you got to be thanking God for DirecTV, because that's your 1 o'clock game. All the games we've talked about right now are 1 o'clock games, but that's what you're going to see. The Jets are going to win just to piss me off and make me sad, but thank God for DirecTV.
Okay, there's a plug for DirecTV.
There you go. Bucks Broncos.
There you go, Bucks Broncos. I was on the Yo-Ho-Ho Buccaneers ship, and Greg Schiano, rookie coach, decided to try for a late 56-yard field goal. It cost him a chance to beat the Falcons, and I think it pushed me off the plank. The Broncos have looked incredibly good. I called him no-play Moreno last week, but he actually went for over 100 combined yards. And I think the Broncos have enough to win this game, especially since they're going to be at home. So give me the Broncos over the Bucks, and I'm now yippee-ki-yay instead of yo-ho-ho.
I think these two teams are matched pretty evenly defensively, but it's Denver, and it's just almost impossible to win in Denver. Nobody can breathe up there. I forget who can't even go there. Is it Ryan Clark from Pittsburgh? Can't even go there because of his disease that he has. He can't even go to Denver to play the game. So who wants to go there? I think the Bucs slide will continue. Peyton finds a way with a minute to go to beat a very solid Bucs team. I wouldn't jump off of them. I'm jumping off on them for this game. But I'm taking Peyton Manning and the Broncos. But if you're a betting man, the 6.5 line looks awfully big to me. And I'd take the Bucs and the points.
Okay. Very nice.
All right, here we go. Steelers, Ravens.
Okay. The Ravens eked one out last week on what I'd like to call the immaculate reception. Ray Rice made an thank you. Ray Rice made an incredible play on 4th and 29 to
play.
Yeah, maybe the best play of the NFL season.
My favorite part of that whole play, though, was they moved the sticks, then they decided to review it, and then they moved the sticks back to measure it. Really? You put the sticks exactly back where they were before?
This is what we were talking about maybe replay wasn't such a great idea.
You gave him a first down, it's first down.
The Steelers, a lot of people were wondering if they should have started Batch instead of Leftwich. The answer was no. Of course, it didn't help them that every running back fumbled, and I mean literally every running back fumbled for the Steelers. They put they had 8
Jerome
turnovers.
Bettis fumbled. He was home.
Merrill Hodge, Rocky Blyer. But seriously, folks, they put the ball either in the other team's hands or on the ground like 11 times. You don't win games like that. I don't want to pat myself on the back, so I'll have Stu do it because I did pick the Browns in that one.
Unbelievable.
And I'm picking the Ravens in this one. It's a shame that this game is – there's even more injuries than the first time we analyzed this game. But give me the Ravens based on momentum and the fact that the Steelers are down to nobody at quarterback.
Yeah, Charlie Batch was Cleveland's bitch. It was one of the most pathetic games I've sat through, and I watch a lot of the games with DirecTV. I'm on the red zone or I'm watching a game, so I get a decent amount of every game, and that was just. It was great for Cleveland. I think their defense is underrated, and they play a good game. I think they're on the rise. I think getting rid of Holmgren was a good idea. I think they can bring in somebody who can rejuvenate this team. It's getting close to being a decent team. Trent Richardson, for a rookie and a crummy team, is having a great season.
And they should have beat the Cowboys except for a bad call, so they should have won 2 in a row. You're right.
Yeah, Baltimore. Flacco at the end was spectacular. Some of those throws to Torrey Smith were just, all pro-level throws. And I don't see them losing to, I don't care who the quarterback is, unless Roethlisberger comes back. It's the Ravens in this game.
There you go, folks.
All right. Browns-Raiders.
Okay.
Speaking of the Browns.
The Browns-Raiders. Did we skip a game?
Did we?
I thought we did. Didn't we skip a Bengals game? Bengals-Chargers?
You know what? We did.
Bengals-Chargers. There's a simple rule, folks. You always pick, late in the season, you always pick the team that still cares against the hopeless team. Mm-hmm. The Bengals still care. They're in the hunt. They're young. They're hungry. The Chargers had a chance last week and gave up that play we were just talking about. I don't see any way that the Chargers turn this around. I think Phillip Rivers looks back on the days when he had an offensive line, when he had LaDainian Tomlinson, when he had Vincent Jackson, and he thinks to himself, damn, I had good players and I didn't have all these bruises back then. So I think the Chargers have given up, and I don't think the Chargers are going to have much of a home field advantage in this one because of that. I think there might be some fire Norv chance. So
if they're having already.
Give me the Bengals to steal this one on the road.
Yeah. Here's what you see when Norv Turner's coaching on the sideline like this. He goes, honey, call the realtor. Honey, no, just take whatever price you can get because he's gone. Bengals at home. Bengals away on this. Doesn't matter. They're going to beat them.
Okay.
Now we'll go to the Browns and the Raiders.
Now we will. As I said before, the Browns should have won 2 in a row, and they really do have a weapon here that the Raiders don't have, and that's Trent Richardson. The Raiders have a bunch of players that should be coming off the bench for other teams, for real NFL teams. Mm-hmm. It's a shame. Carson Palmer is going to be one of those guys that you go, what team did he finish his career up with? Like Emmitt Smith with the Cardinals kind of thing, or Jerry Rice with, who'd he end up with, the Seahawks?
Doesn't matter, yeah. Oakland.
Yeah, so it's sad to see what was once a great franchise just in total disarray. It's nice to see the Browns getting a little bit of momentum, and I expect them to ride Trent Richardson in this game.
Yeah, I think Cleveland has enough offense to win this game, and they certainly have a decent enough defense. I think the Raiders would wish that Carl Palmer was their quarterback because at least he can hit something. And you have to be a fan of rock music to know.
Was that an Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
It was.
Well, thank you
very well. I think they're exhuming Blanda's body for quarterback this week to see what happens. I'm taking the Browns.
Okay. We're going to move on to the Eagles-Cowboys. And like we said before, we're doing this Monday night. We did not see the Eagles game yet, but these are two coaches that should shake hands and talk about, where they could be coordinators next year or which way it is to the unemployment line. I'm going to do, I hate Frank Caliendo. I got to tell you, I think he's one of the most unfunny guys in the world, but I'm going to do my Jerry Jones impression right now. We won the game. Send up some more hookers. I expect the Cowboys to win this one just because they've got a little bit of talent and the Eagles have packed it in completely.
Yeah, Romo will probably have a good game, on Sunday night. No one will be watching. Hopefully there'll be repeats of some Christmas specials because this is a game on a Sunday night that is clearly the worst of the lineup that we've had thus far. I think that the Eagles have just crashed to the ground. Tony Romo will have a decent day, and the Cowboys will win this one.
All right.
It's just not the same Eagles.
And we finish up with the Giants and the Redskins. Mm-hmm. Why don't you lead off, Stu?
Well, Washington has won 2 straight games, but they aren't really dominant at home. I looked at their schedule. I looked back at they're not dominant at home or on the road, so they're kind of average all around. The Giants will find it hard to contain Griffin, though. This guy is just tough to contain, and they want to revenge the loss that they had a few weeks ago. The Giants beat them, but I'm taking Washington because I support Native American history.
Giants beat them, but they beat them on a miracle catch late in the game. That game was way more difficult than the Giants expected it to be. After the game, their defensive linemen were just universally praising RG3. Mm-hmm. Everybody forgets that the Redskins now have a tough running game. I'm going to pick the Giants just based on what they did against the Packers, but I would not be surprised at all if the Redskins take this one and really keep the division very, very tight. The Redskins' time is coming. It's probably not Sunday, but if they have a good offseason, that division could be theirs.
Yep, I agree.
For a long time to come.
So that's your rundown for the week. I would like to make or say something special. A group of kids, including my daughter, who were home for Thanksgiving weekend, got together, led by a kid named Luke Walsh. They put together a soccer game in town of all former high school players that have played over the last couple of years to raise money for Sandy relief. They raised over $1,300 in a matter of 90 minutes to 2 hours, and a company that one of the dads worked for is matching that. So it's almost $2,700 going out there. And that's a pretty special thing, to come home on a weekend, gather 30 of your friends together, play some ball as a charitable event. I throw out huge kudos to that group of kids who did that. And
if you live in Jersey or have a property along the shore, you understand how important that is.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm Steve Brown.
I'm Stu Pace. That's Week 13. Hope to see you again next week on Electric
Football. Hit that little subscribe button.
Yeah, hit it. And there's our web show.